So, all of these things have to be taken into consideration when we think of the effects of integration. It wasn't just the fact that integration separated our business and diffused our income. There was also some hostile attempts from the large structure of the United States to make sure that Black America wouldn't reach the level of white America when it came to wealth.
Our condition has not gotten better regardless of what the indicators have been. We've had double-digit unemployment ever since slavery. When we were freed, we've had double-digit unemployment ever since then. And so while the predictors say, rising tide lifts all boats, it lifts all boats but our boats.
A man without a job, is, in this country, work is the most highly accepted social value. I'm sorry, it may not be. There's a lot of other kinds of work. You work at home, you do other valuable things, but we're about work. We build our safety nets on work. And when there aren't enough jobs, the whole system's in trouble.
We need more churches that are running programs teaching men about parenting and about responsible fatherhood and economic development and financial literacy. We need more efforts that are run by the community, teaching men and women the importance of things like marriage. We almost never talk about marriage. Marriage is still a sacred institution within the Black community, and I think we've gotten to a place now where folks have been classically conditioned to believe that it's just okay to just shack up and have babies, and so I think that we are winning, but there's so much work that we got to do.
Now, many of us, feminists or others, would say work should not be the delimiter of who you are. And in African American communities, always we've had this parallel society. So you might be the janitor, but you are also the deacon. You might be a housekeeper, but you were also an officer in the NAACP, so that your worth was often reinforced. So the words ghetto culture, I think, were the words in the Moynihan report that were the most offensive.
Where I think we got into trouble were the messages around integration, and definitely I'm against assimilation, that I need to strip you of your cultural identity in order for you to achieve equality. Now, integration is like the precursor to that. I need to remove you from your culture and put you into this culture so you can be successful. And if you look at the strides between 1865 and 1965, when the Moynihan report comes out, some of the greatest Black minds, Black businesses, Black communities, Black strides, HBCUs, NAACPs, all of this great stuff is going on, but then the integrationalist ideologue comes in 1965 and says that in order for you to achieve equality, you need to integrate. And then I'm of both African American descent and Native American descent. The two groups that have suffered most from the integration and assimilation ideologues are Native Americans and African Americans, where you have stripped them of the backbone of the fabric of what makes them cohesive as a people and tried to put them into something that they're not.
Yeah, well, we've got the first African-American president elected, and we've got more African-American public officials and elected officials. What's the problem? Okay, the problem continues to be equal access to scarce resources of power, privilege, and prestige that is not really given out and doled out to people in an equal and fair fashion.
Statisticians use statistics like a drunk uses a light post for support rather than illumination.
I would like to see, I'm a parent. I have 4 children. My wife and I have raised them. And I flatter myself in thinking that my children benefit from the influences of both my wife and myself in their life. And I think it would be better for our country if more children had the positive influences of 2 parents from birth through their adolescence in their lives. So if you're asking what's one thing would I like to see change, I'd like to see that change. I don't know whether government can change that, but I sure would like to see that happen.
Well, I think the Moynihan report in a lot of ways was one of the most tragic intellectual documents in American history, in the sense that the facts to which it pointed were, in my view, accurate. The prognosis that it generated were in many ways accurate, and our inability as a nation to read that information, interpret it, and act upon it is the tragedy of the Moynihan report.